hearing the reaction to Swerve Strickland, you can't miss out on this. Like somehow, some way, Swerve feels like he's hit another peak of popularity. He's hit his peak of popularity like 3-4 times already in the last 2 years. You can't miss out on this.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Takedown on SI YouTube channel. Rick Ucchino, SP3, and Zack Heydorn with you here on our very special AEW Dynasty prediction show this Sunday in Philadelphia. 8 matches on the docket. There's probably going to be 9, but as of this recording, there is officially 8. Let's be honest, there's probably going to be 12 because we're going to get those 0-hour announcements like Friday, Saturday, somewhere around that. So there's going to be 12, 13 matches. But as of this recording, Thursday, the 3rd at 3:45 in the afternoon, we got 8 matches. That's what we're going to talk about. And yeah, give us a thumbs up on this video. Make sure to hit subscribe and join the 820 plus other people who have tuned in to check out SP3's interview with Vinny Pacifico, or Speedball Mike Bailey, or my man Zack Heydorn's interview with Stone Cold Steve Austin, or mine with Saraya. We got some other good stuff coming up here soon on the channel as well. Takedown discussions with myself and Zack. We had an episode that just dropped this morning. You can check that out, where we talked about in more detail the Owen Hart men's and women's tournament, talked about Miro's reported return to WWE, and whether or not WWE got it right by booking CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins in the main event of WrestleMania Saturday. Without further ado, gentlemen, 8 matches. Let's roll with it. The Owen Hart tournament gets underway on Sunday. It is Will Ospreay versus SP3's boy Kevin Knight, newly signed to AEW. Now, this was a spot that was supposed to be for Switchblade Jay White. Unfortunately, he has a hand injury. That's the latest reports from Fightful and Wrestling Observer and others. He has to undergo surgery. We wish him all the best, especially since he was just injured and missed time not too long ago. So this kind of sucks for him. But SP3, it does create an opportunity for Mr. Knight to come in here and make an impression. He ain't winning. Like, Will Ospreay's winning. Like, I'll mark us all 3 down for Will Ospreay right now, but it's a great opportunity for him to come in against one of the, probably the best guy bell to bell in the world right now. So again, great opportunity for him.
Yeah, it's going to be a great showcase matchup for Kevin the Jet Knight, who is a graduate of the New Japan LA Dojo. He's a guy that has a great amount of upside. He's still in his late 20s, I believe, and he just has probably the best springs of anyone in pro wrestling today. If you've seen Dynamite, you saw that drop kick that he did on Lee Johnson while he's on Blake Christian's shoulders. He would regularly do that. He does a Hurricane Rana off the top rope without jumping onto the top rope. He does it like basically flat-footed. This guy's got bounce in him. He's got the bounce in him a lot, and he's racing the perfect person for a showcase matchup on his first pay-per-view. There's no doubt that Will Ospreay is going to win here, but it is going to be a great showcase for Kevin Knight, who is a great prospect that AEW has, who has a lot of upside and potential to be a star in the future.
What do you think, Zach?
Seconded 100%. I want to add more. You know, I like to talk. You guys know that, but I cannot add much more to that. This is a great spot for Kevin Knight. You never wish injury on anybody, right? And I'm sure Kevin Knight didn't do that with Jay White, but he's got an opportunity here to really show out and show off and show what he can do. Yeah, he's losing, but honestly, that's kind of just besides the point at this time for him. He's got to have a heck of a match. He's got to show what he can do. He's got the perfect opponent to do it. I think these two are going to tear it down. And I think people will be looking at Kevin Knight a lot differently. And if you don't know him at all, he's definitely going to make you look his way moving forward after this match. But Ospreay wins.
Yeah, this to me is kind of similar to what happened with Commander, right? Commander wasn't supposed to be in the Continental Classic. He gets put in there, and all of a sudden he puts on a lot of really, really good matches. He gets a pretty good push. People start, getting behind him. And that was a move that was kind of heavily criticized at the time, but it definitely worked out for Commander, and it upped his profile in AEW and on Ring of Honor. Sucks this is going to be a one-off for him, where Commander had multiple matches to get in there, but still he's going to have 10, 15, 20 minutes, somewhere around that ballpark. At least that would be my guess with 8 matches currently on the card. Great spot for him. Will Ospreay wins going away. We got Mercedes Moné, Julia Hart in the opening round of an absolutely stacked Owen Hart women's tournament. Interesting, SP3, that Mercedes and Athena on the same side of the bracket on this one, which is something Zach and I talked about earlier. I think that is a surefire indication. I don't think either one of those ladies is winning the tournament. Setting up their matchup, probably title for title at All In, while the winner of the Owen Hart tournament faces off against maybe Timeless Toni Storm, maybe Megan Bayne. We'll get there. How do you see this one going? Mercedes still undefeated in singles action in AEW as of this point.
I predicted this matchup when they announced that Julia Hart was going to face Queen Aminata in the third matchup a couple of weeks ago on Collision, because I was like, why are you going to do 3 matches with these women unless one of them were going to get a shot at the TBS title against Mercedes Moné? So I'm getting the matchup that I predicted, but not in the way that I predicted it. It's not for the TBS championship. It's in the quarterfinals of the Owen Hart Cup. I like Mercedes being a part of this tournament because she is arguably the first or biggest or second biggest star in the AEW women's division. It adds to the prestige and it adds to the mystery of who's going to win, because she's going to be considered a favorite. Athena's going to be considered a favorite. Jamie Hayter's considered a favorite. Chris Statlander is considered a favorite. Thunder Rosa is going to be a dark horse pick for some people. Like, there is so
named 5 out of 8 of the of the bracket.
Harley Cameron can be a dark horse for some people. Like, there is so many options. This is the best field that they've ever set up for the Owen Hart Women's Tournament, and this is a good matchup to start things off. And you can give Julia Hart a strong matchup. She's had solid matches with Queen Aminata on Collision, but this feels like the first big showcase matchup that she's gotten on a pay-per-view since a year ago when she was TBS champion heading into Dynasty in 2024. I expect this to be really good, but I expect Mercedes to get the win.
Yeah, I'm taking Mercedes as well. I second everything that you said. I don't think that like I said, I don't think Mercedes is winning this tournament. You have a great chance to really put somebody over by giving her first loss to somebody in this tournament, which also protects the fact that she is still the TBS champion coming out of this. But she will get past Julia Hart. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, Mercedes all the way here. I mean, and if no other reason, I think you want to do that Athena Moné match in the semis. I mean, that's a cool match to do. And, it's the first of many between those two, I think, and I think it's a good spot to kind of introduce that match for the very first time. So, I mean, just if you're talking real life stuff, that's why she should win this match. But also, look, from a character perspective, I mean, Moné storyline, from here on out for the next couple, next month or so is going to be about this tournament. It's going to be about Moné, adding another feather in her cap. That's going to be a big storyline here with this. And I think, she gives the tournament notoriety. She gives it credibility. I'm looking forward to this match because I think it's a really good spot for Julia Hart. Like, she's more established in AEW than Kevin Knight is. But I think she has a gear or two to try to go find in front of a live crowd as far as a match goes. And I think Mercedes is a really good talent to pull that out of her or to be in there with her to try to find it. And I think like Knight, I think we may be looking at Julia a little bit differently coming out of this match too. And again, Mercedes is a perfect opponent for that. But bottom line is Mercedes is a bigger star. She's going to be a focus of this tournament to the very end. She's got to win her first match in order to be that.
The AEW International Championship is on the line in, let's call it what it is. It's a match of the year candidate because Kenny Omega's in it, but also because Ricochet's in it, and also because Speedball and Mike Bailey is in it. Triple threat match, International Championship. I think a lot of people, SP3, are kind of already looking ahead toward the rumored title unification match that might be going on between the Rainmaker and the Best Bout Machine. Is that a mistake? Is there a possibility here that maybe Ricochet or Speedball steal this, especially since Kenny does not have to be pinned to lose the championship?
No. Kenny Omega's going to win. Kenny Omega's gonna win, but it's gonna be an absolutely tremendous match before we get there, because these are three of the best in-ring performers in pro wrestling today. Ricochet is one of the best characters in pro wrestling today, and I thought that Speedball Mike Bailey was an excellent pickup for AEW. This has all the signs, all the makings to be it can get to a level of the historic, the legendary Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles versus Christopher Daniels Unbreakable 2005 three-way. And I just said that about an international three-way last year at Wrestle Dream when it had Ricochet, Will Ospreay, and Takeshita, but you trade out Ospreay and Takeshita for Speedball and Kenny Omega, you're gonna get probably the same type of value. That was a 5-star matchup at Wrestle Dream last year. This has the potential to be a 5-star matchup here, but the only issue is there's no doubt Kenny Omega's winning.
Zach, what do you say?
There's going to be they're going to have trouble creating like true drama in this, as far as like who's going to win, just because I think it's so certain that Kenny Omega wins this. And so, but if there were 3 guys up for that challenge, Mike Bailey, Ricochet, and Kenny Omega would be 3 guys that I pick, and could be 3 guys that can do it. It's just the outcome is so certain that I think people are watching this excited for the spectacle of the match, and not necessarily like an investment in like a storyline of this person winning or that person winning or that person winning. Because I just think it's Kenny Omega, everybody knows it. But I do think the spectacle is what people are looking for. That is not how I would regularly want to frame my storylines in AEW. But when you have these guys going at it together, you just, with this crop of talent, and it's these 3, I think you can there's a gray area there sometimes. And I think this match plays in that gray area. I don't think the audience is too invested in necessarily who wins, but they want to see a good match. And the good thing is, that is exactly what they're going to see. So I'm taking Kenny Omega, and I think you're talking match of the night. I think you're talking match of the year candidate after it's all over. But the outcome is just a little too certain to me. And there's too many damn triple threat matches out there right now in big spots. What the hell's going on?
Well, let's be fair to AEW. This is the only one on this card, unlike the other show we're going to see in April. And I will give credit to Kenny Omega, because the last time he was in a 3-way, there was no doubt in the outcome of that one back at Double or Nothing 2021 when he faced Pac and Orange Cassidy for the AEW World Championship.
Yeah.
But they sure as hell got me when Orange Cassidy hit the orange punch on Kenny Omega. So I think I will leave it up to Kenny Omega to get me once again. All you need is one good near fall Speedball Ricochet.
Yep. I'm 3 for 3. I'm taking Kenny Omega in this one as well. The AEW Trios Championships are on the line as the Death Riders defend against Rated FTR, who, well, they haven't exactly been on the same page as of late here. SP3 and Dax has been shoving people. He's been all kind of surly, like somebody just pissed in his beer. Like I don't know what's going on with Dax Harwood right now, but he ain't vibing with his homies as of late. Are they going to be vibing on Sunday night? Will they win the Trios Championships against the Death Riders?
All I need is Tony Khan to spend some money, and the video package for this matchup needs to be, it's too late to apologize. It's too late. Because that's all Dax has been doing over the last couple of weeks. He's been apologizing to referees, to Cash, to Cope. It's a lot of apologies going on here. I think the Death Riders win, and then post-match, I think FTR turn on Cope, and they lay him out with the Shatter Machine.
Wow. Bold prediction. What do you think, Zach?
Death Riders win for sure. I mean, this Rated FTR is just hanging on by a thread. And I don't think that, a championship is in the cards given the cohesion that they don't have right now. I think that's the right move. You keep this on the Death Riders. Like, I think you want Jon Moxley's group to be strong, whether or not he's winning in the main event or losing. Like, coming out of this, I think you want some of that core group around him to still be very strong. This helps to that end. But the real story here is going to be what happens either during or after the match with FTR and Cope. I'm with SP3 on this. I smell a turn here for FTR. And, the red herring could have been last night with Dax and Cash kind of not being on the same page. And, hey, we got to talk. Well, maybe they got to talk about, old Cope as the weak link. So I'm with SP3 on this.
What are we doing? Judgment Day reruns here? What are we doing here?
Kind of, I guess.
You know what, man? I don't want to do it, but for the sake of not being boring, I'm taking rated FTR. Like, I'm going to go with a title change here just to be boring, just to be a little unpredictable. Because I get the sense like this is something that, they're teasing so heavily that rated FTR are going to split up and there's going to be some kind of a big angle here. It just, to me, makes me feel like they're trying to bait us into thinking that the Death Riders have got this one easily and there's going to be some kind of a big angle. I'm going to take rated FTR to pull off the win, and maybe they feud with the Patriarchy after this because there's still some unfinished business there as well. Maybe take the Trios division in a bit of a different direction. I'm probably going to regret it probably about 9 p.m. on Sunday night. But yeah, I'm going to go rated FTR on this one.
You probably will. You need time to tell the story because I think FTR turns on Cope and then we eventually get to All In Texas and it's Cope and Christian versus FTR.
Interesting.
You read my mind. You read my mind, SP3.
I'm going to regret my decision. All right, so we got the AEW Tag Team Championships that are on the line. Got the Hurt Syndicate defending against Big Bill and Brian Keith. In a similar situation to the Owen Hart men's matchup that we're going to see tonight, this was not the challengers that were originally supposed to be in this matchup. It was supposed to be the Murder Machines. Unfortunately, an injury to Brian Cage caused a change of creative direction. So we get the Learning Tree, who's going to be in this one. I do like the Hurt Syndicate to retain. If it were me, I'm booking Big Bill to look like an absolute monster in this one. To me, though, the wild card is going to be MJF, who has an offer on the table from MVP to join the Hurt Syndicate, and Bobby Lashley is like, nah, bro, we don't need him. Get the F out of here. Maybe MJF gets involved. He could cost them the titles. Maybe he tries to earn his keep with the Hurt Syndicate, and maybe he kind of helps them out. Much to the chagrin of Bobby Lashley, who doesn't think that they needed MJF's help. Either way, I think the Hurt Syndicate are going to hang on to this one, SP3.
Yeah, this is a no-brainer. Hurt Syndicate gets the win, but yeah, I think MJF comes out, and the Hurt Syndicate are not in danger at all, but MJF does something to help them win, and he takes all the credit, and Bobby Lashley's like, yeah, I really needed your help to beat Brian Keith. Yes. Yes.
Oh my God. The thing is, like, that's exactly how this has to play out for it to work. What you don't want, because the Hurt Syndicate have just been so strong since coming together and since winning the tag team titles. And it's been great. I mean, I think they've been just an absolute blast to watch. And you don't want them, like, all of a sudden, for the sake of the storyline, to just magically, oh my God, we can't beat Brian Keith and Big Bill. You don't want that. So I think SP3, what you outlined is like MJF coming in and heelishly taking credit for a win they were already going to get. It kills two birds with one stone. It progresses the storyline with MJF and Hurt Syndicate, and it also just keeps the reality alive that Hurt Syndicate are really strong as a tag team on their own, and they don't have an issue dusting, a team like the Learning Tree. I do think you want to give Big Bill something here, but ultimately this match is about the Hurt Syndicate, and I think they win, and they win decisively.
Just spitballing off the top of my head here, are we far enough out that we might see a Cedric Alexander sighting in this one, or has he still got some time before he shows up?
I think when MJF and Hurt Syndicate like advertise they're going to make a decision, that's when you debut Cedric Alexander.
Fair enough. The TNT Championship on the line. It is the third time that these two are going to be throwing down. There must be a winner this time around. No time limit, no outside interference, which means we're probably getting outside interference. But I digress. It is Daniel Garcia. It is Adam Cole. TNT Championship on the line. SP3, how do you see this one going down?
This is probably the only match on the card that outside the main event that's actually a toss-up. I could see either side getting the win here. But to make things interesting, I'm going to actually go with Adam Cole here. I think that Adam Cole has gone long enough being in AEW without winning singles gold. This is his time now.
I'm 100% with you on that one. Like I have been disappointed with how they have booked Daniel Garcia since he won the TNT championship. Like I thought he was going to be a much more central focus, maybe get like an Orange Cassidy type of run, and they really haven't done that with him. So let's get a fresh start for the TNT championship. Danny can win it again at some point, but I agree with you. Like Adam Cole, this is a guy who came in with a lot of fanfare. Like everybody remember when he came in minutes ahead of Bryan Danielson, and it was one of the biggest moments in AEW history, and he was right there standing in the company with all the big top stars, and he just, after the ankle injury and then coming back and the underwhelming continuation of the MJF feud, it's time to heat him up again. It's time to let Adam Cole be Adam Cole again, and Adam Cole needs to be a champion in AEW. I think it's time to make that pull the trigger on it, put the TNT championship on him, and let him have a run. What do you think, Zach?
I couldn't agree more. I mean, he has not had a good couple years in AEW. There's just no two ways about it. He hasn't. Health wise, storyline wise, match wise, he just hasn't been the same guy. There's something still there. You got to assume there's something still there. He's young in his career and he's done a lot, and he's been a top guy wherever he's gone. He just needs his mojo back a little bit, and I think, Daniel Garcia hasn't had really a relevant run with the TNT championship. It's been fine, but it hasn't been a signature run of any kind. There's been no push, of him other than here's the title. And so I think it does more for Adam Cole right now. It reminds everybody, it reminds the fans that, hey, don't forget about this guy. Don't forget about this guy. He's back on top. And I think that's really important, especially if you want to even think about putting him in, a higher position, later on in this year or early next. He can't be a guy who's doing clean jobs to Daniel Garcia right now in the TNT title division. So he's got to win this match. I think it's really important that he does. I think it's really important that he has a really good match too. And I think he will. I think the pieces are there for that to happen.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing, if and when Adam Cole wins this, is how does Daniel Garcia react? And I'm speaking character-wise, and how does Daddy Magic react? Because those two guys have been having some interesting. He's kind of there as his hype man, but there's just sometimes I get the sense that Daniel Garcia just don't want to be hearing and accepting what Daddy Magic is selling. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out afterward. We got our two main championship matches. The AEW Women's Championship on the line. Timeless Toni Storm against the chosen goddess of all elite wrestling, the mighty Megasus, who Toni Storm has promised to behead Megan Bayne on just ignoring the accolades of these two and their careers just on paper, right? If you look at Megan Bayne has a clear advantage from size, strength, everything. And I think that they have done a really, really good job, SP3, of portraying that on screen. The question to me is, how does Toni Storm win this? Because she's not losing this.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a loud minority of fans that believe that Megan Bayne should win this, because AEW does have a habit of pushing someone to the title picture and then they lose and then they kind of fall down the ladder. Deonna Purrazzo being a good example of that. And I don't want that for Megan Bayne, because I think that Megan Bayne does have a lot of potential to be the monster heel of the AEW women's division for years to come. So I think that the way to do this is book it like John Cena versus Umaga. They had two matches in the beginning of 2007, and the first match was basically Umaga dominating Cena, and then Cena got a roll up to barely get the win, and then Umaga immediately got his heat back by beating him down post-match. Just do that. Do that. Do that with these two, because this is the type of feud that has legs on it, that it can continue, and you can get one more matchup with a stipulation at Double or Nothing. So let Megan Bayne go in here, dominate, hit the Fates descent. Toni gets her foot on the rope, and then Megan gets too cocky, tries to take too much time, saying bow down as he tries for another face descent, and then Toni hits a crucifix pin for the 1-2-3, or her signature Smalls package for the 1-2-3 to pick up the victory here. And then post-match, Megan Bayne lays her out again to set up a second matchup at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, you took the thought right out of my head, because they've set up this. Like, there's precedent for this. Never forget, she won the AEW Women's Championship with the small package. So I think it would make a ton of sense for her to, get bloodied, get her ass beat, make Megan Bayne look absolutely unstoppable, and then the savvy veteran pulls off the shock win with the inside cradle, and she steals the championship, she steals the victory, but in the end, Megan Bayne is the one that looks like the absolute monster. That's how I would book it, and that's how I think they're going to book it, Zach.
This is exactly how they're going to book it, and it's exactly how they should book it. Right now, Toni Storm has to be priority 1A for Tony Khan booking the women's division. I mean, she is the big star of your division, and the monster heels usually lose to the big star of your division. That's usually what happens, and you want to try to find ways to protect them so that they can continue to be that for your division. But in the end, that star, the Toni Storm in this case, she's going to win, and she should win. Tony Khan is in the Toni Storm business right now in a big way. And she's got a big year ahead of her. And so I think she absolutely needs to win, and she will. The question is, can you make Megan Bayne look strong and maintain some of that kind of monster pizzazz coming out of this? And I absolutely think that they can if they book it the right way. It's all about finish. It's all about how Megan Bayne looks in the actual match itself. There's a lot of leverage you can pull to make sure that happens. But the bottom line is Toni Storm's winning this match, and she absolutely should.
Yeah, so playing devil's advocate, I could see them potentially doing like a Clubber Lang Rocky kind of situation here, where they have Megan Bayne come in and just absolutely pummel her and do the shock title change, and Megan's walking around as the new hot thing, but Toni would absolutely win it ahead of All In. So like, that's really the only thing that I'm going to guarantee is Toni Storm is going to be the Women's World Champion heading into All In Texas to face the winner of the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. But either way, Megan Bayne's going to look strong. I don't think I would hate the Clubber Lang situation there, SP3, but again, I think I would just go with the small package thing. But for a card that's relatively predictable, why not throw in something that's a little unpredictable on the card and get people talking? Like you said, SP3, here is our biggest coin flip, I think, of the night. We have had all 7 matches, and so far, I'm the only idiot who has gone out on the limb to be different. I thought I might be the only guy who picked Adam Cole, and then you both went with me for Adam Cole. The AEW Championship is on the line. It's Jon Moxley. It is Swerve Strickland. Swerve is trying to prove that lightning can strike twice, SP3. This was this very event last year that he won his first AEW World Championship when he beat Samoa Joe. Do we get deja vu on Sunday?
I was utterly convinced heading into this week's Dynamite that Tony Khan is a stubborn prick who is going to continue with this Deaf Rider story and continue to drag this out and make people utterly not want to go to Texas for All In because Jon Moxley is still going to be the AEW World Champion. But after they booked the angles and they bookmarked AEW Dynamite this week, and hearing the reaction to Swerve Strickland, you can't miss out on this. Like, somehow, some way, Swerve feels like he's hit another peak of popularity. He's hit his peak of popularity like 3-4 times already in the last 2 years. You can't miss out on this. And the big thing that I saw on Dynamite this week is not only the Deaf Riders laying him out and him rising to his feet, showing them that it's going to take more than that to beat him at Dynasty. it was the Hangman and Swerve interaction backstage, and that story just writes itself. These two men have put on one of the greatest, if not the greatest, rivalry in AEW history. But the one thing they haven't done is face each other on the biggest stage possible for the AEW World Championship. So get it done. Get it done. And I think that Swerve winning the championship here makes the outcome of the Owen Hart Cup a little bit less predictable. Because, yeah, Hangman has probably the better story to verse Swerve, but Ospreay has his own history with Swerve, and that was a great rivalry and build up to last year's Forbidden Door. So I wouldn't mind if Ospreay wins the Owen Hart Cup. I wouldn't mind if Darby wins the Owen Hart Cup and versus Swerve as well, because they have their own history. So it there's so many different options in the Owen. It makes the Owen more unpredictable if Swerve is the champion. If Moxley is the champion and Darby's the wild card, we know what the outcome's going to be there. We know we're going to get Darby and Moxley as the all-in finish, or it's going to be Will Ospreay beating Hangman in the finals of the Owen Hart Cup. So you can make a lot of things more unpredictable if Swerve gets the victory here. Please pull the triggers. Please don't be a stubborn prick. Please. And please cut that down. But no, that's Tony Khan calling him, calling Rick, like I heard SP3 called me a stubborn prick. Don't be a stubborn prick, Tony Khan. Put the belt on Swerve Strickland, because he is the guy to push here. You need to rewrite history, have him win the championship one more time. And yes, and then I think post-match, you can have the Death Riders jump him. You can have Jon Moxley jump him, and Hangman Adam Page comes out and make the save.
So that was a very thought out argument. Made a ton of sense. I'm all on board with you. I would love to see it happen. I firmly believe Tony Khan is that selfish prick who is not going to get thrown off of his plans for anything. For anybody, it's Moxley and Darby whenever Darby's back. That that is the plan. That is the vision that he laid out. That is the vision I think he is going to go through with. And by hook or by crook, Jon Moxley is beating Swerve on Sunday. I'm at the point where I will believe Moxley drops the belt when it happens. Like I just can't call it. I hope I regret that decision, because I would put it on.
I will also say, because of how predictable this card is. And I'm not saying that we're not going to have a bunch of good to great matches. We've talked about a bunch of these matches will deliver. Because of how predictable the card is, if Moxley wins in the main event, this might go down as one of the worst AEW pay-per-views of all time. I'm just going to put it out there. It's going to go with All Out 2020, World's End 2020, 2023 as one of the worst AEW cards ever if Moxley wins in the end.
All right, Zach.
Oh boy, guys, Rick, you're standing on your own on this one. I am going to take Swerve, and going into last night, I was like in the Moxley camp, but I don't see how you book what you booked yesterday on Dynamite and not have Swerve win. I mean, he would look pretty bad. Like if he kind of he takes all those shots and he kind of gets back up only to lose. It wouldn't be a great look for him. He's popular enough to get past something like that, but I just think when you didn't need to do that. You didn't need to, book your big final segment that way, unless it was going to mean something. And I think they wanted to portray a fighting, babyface champion that the Death Riders have been able to take out everybody else, but not him. He's still standing. He's still moving. And I think that's that narrative's out there for a reason. I also think that the Adam Page thing was really interesting. Why they haven't crossed paths in months. They do there. Again, I don't think that's not an accident. You write that in because you've got something in mind. Moxley versus Darby at All In had its moment in time. I think at the end of 2024, you could, look at that match and go, okay, maybe Darby's got a lot of momentum behind him right now. And that's a good feud for Jon Moxley. They've had a lot of history there. And I still think that very well could be a match that happens at All In, Moxley against Darby. I just don't think it's your world title match. I think the time has come and passed for that. And Darby's been gone. He just doesn't have that kind of momentum anymore. And the better match, the better big match, the better main event for your biggest show of the year, is Swerve and Adam Page. And I think they kind of teased that yesterday and reminded everybody of that, whilst giving it a new nugget of, whoa, Swerve Strickland just kind of admitted wrongdoing, and he kind of extended an olive branch to Page. That's pretty interesting. And I don't think it happens, just in a vacuum, even in AEW. So I'm taking Swerve. Tony Khan is not a stubborn prick. Swerve it in.
I'll say this much: if I'm right, and trust me, I hope I'm wrong in this situation. And I love Jon Moxley, but I think this reign has definitely run its course. I would pull the trigger on Swerve. If it is Moxley and it is Darby at All In, Mercedes and Athena better be the main event. That's all I'm going to say. SP3, what you got going on?
Check out the True Heel Heat YouTube channel. This is my second. I'll be doing 3 AEW Dynasty, or giving my predictions for AEW Dynasty this week. I'm also going to be on the Rest Things podcast, so go over there. That's probably dropped already if you're watching this right now. But I also did AEW Dynasty preview with Maggie from Fightful Overbooked, as well as J News over on the True Heel Heat YouTube channel. Check out the True Heel Heat flagship podcast, where I'll do a 4th time giving final predictions. So I'll probably change my answer every time, because on Rest Things I did say Moxley was going to win. Here I'm saying Swerve. I might say something different on the Dynasty preview. I might say something different on the flagship podcast. You'll just have to watch. Go and check it out. And of course, check out my interview with Vinny Pacifico on SI.com, the written article, and on here on the Takedown on SI. And thank you guys for letting me join you today.
Yeah, absolutely. You're on to something there too, because there are so many times where I'll go back and I'll do the written piece, the written predictions piece for the Takedown on SI, and I'll be like, why the hell did I pick? Why did I choose this? What was I on that day that made me make that decision? But all right, I gotta go with it. I'll be wrong across the board. Zach, where can people follow you and do all your good work?
You follow me on X here, Zack _Heydorn, on Blue Sky too. Been busy over there. Just Zack Heydorn. Search my name and I'll come up. We've got a lot of cool stuff on the Takedown SI YouTube channel. Check out the work that I've done there. That's where I think you'll enjoy it. Austin interview is up right now. That was such a cool project to be able to do. Austin was great in that interview, so check that out. We also have a wide variety, a really kind of big batch of takedown discussions content now that you can immerse yourself into as well. So do that. Rick and I and others are on there discussing WrestleMania, AEW, WWE, a whole mix of topics. So check that out. Subscribe and like.
Absolutely. Like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Zach and I dropped an episode of discussions earlier this morning where you can hear us talk again further in depth about the Owen Hart men's and women's tournament, whether or not WWE got the main events right, and Miro, maybe Rusev. Maybe it's Rusev Day on his way back to WWE, reportedly. We discuss all that there. So as soon as we wrap up here in about 5 seconds, go check that out. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Enjoy the weekend of wrestling ahead.